Hello and welcome to my crafty session here in this awesome catalogue launch party. I'm actually going to use the Joyful Flurry stamp set today, and this has got the dies are the star of the show, and I'm telling you it is an absolutely gorgeous bundle. I fell in love with it as soon as I started playing with it. You may notice here, we're going to create this card, but you may notice here the texture on here and how these little pieces are lifting up and how you can see that gorgeous shimmer paper shining through. So as I said, the star of the show are the dies. I'm telling you, they are gorgeous, but we've got these beautiful stamped images as well. So I'm going to create this gorgeous card with this wonderful set today. So first of all, we're going to need a couple of things. So we're going to have a basic white. I'll just leave that up there in the corner so you can see. We're going to have a basic white thick card base. Now, just your normal card base size and your normal layerings. I know that with different countries, there's all different sizes. I actually do mine 5 3/4 by 8. Okay, and then I score it and fold it in half, so it gives me a 4" by 5 3/4" card front size. So I'm just going to score that with my bone folder and get that to crease really nicely. Now I've got a couple of layers here. This one here I've cut just 1/4 inch smaller, so it's cut at 3 3/4 by 5.5 inches. Then I also have another smaller piece which I've done an 1/8 inch smaller again. Okay, so that gives me just a really tiny, minute little border of that beautiful red glimmer paper. Now, the dies in this set, there's actually 4 dies in this set that they actually only cut out parts and say they don't actually have a border that would cut them out. So I've got these 3 dies here. So there is a fourth one, which is one of these larger ones, but I'm going to show you how you can turn that into a die that actually cuts all the way out as well. So I'm actually going to arrange these dies on the front of this card, one there, one down there, and one actually right there. So because these actually don't actually cut fully out of that card layer, I need to be able to arrange them that I'm definitely still leaving a border around the outside there. So I'm just going to bring in the cut and emboss machine and cut those out. Line those up on the machine. Now I could have done this before ahead of time, but I wanted to show you how these dies actually work and how using your handy dandy take your pick tool, which is one of my favorite tools, and how easy it can make doing these die cuts. Okay, so I'm just going to take a cutting pad and pop on top, and I'm just going to run that one through. And just for safe measure, because there's a lot of die cutting, I'm going to run it back the other way. Okay, and then you will see that you still have the shapes all in your cardstock, but you can see that you've got tiny little pieces that we can pop up. So you can just with your fingers pop that up, or what I tend to do is use my take your pick tool and just pop my take your pick tool in underneath. So I'm pressing with my fingers underneath to pop it up to start off with, and then just using the pokey end of the take your pick tool to actually pop them up. And they have it on all 3 of these. They have all these pieces that can pop up, and it just adds a lot more dimension to your cards and just creates a really special effect, which I think is absolutely stunning. So we'll pop all those up in a little while. So the next thing what I want to do is I want to take a series of those stamps and just stamp some smoky slate and cherry cobbler are the colors that I've got. So I'm just going to grab my smoky slate, open that up, and I'm going to take the different snowflakes, and I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of paper. So we're just going to stamp off down the bottom here. We're going to stamp one off there. We're also going to stamp another one up here, and just having it coming off the side there, that's totally okay. I'm going to grab the other snowflake and I'm going to stamp another one just in here. And then, of course, we've got this cute, super duper little tiny snowflake, which is absolutely gorgeous. So I'll just take that out of the way. And it's tiny. So I'm going to use that with our cherry cobbler ink. Okay, so we're just going to stamp randomly around just to get a little bit of different color happening here on our card. Okay, so it just adds a little bit of a highlight on the card. Okay, so just like that. Now we've also got a scrap piece of basic white, and with that I'm going to stamp the sentiment in smoky slate that just says Merry Christmas. I'm just going to ink up, sorry, Happy Christmas. Just going to ink that up and stamp that. And then in our die set, we actually have a die that will cut that sentiment out, which is this one here. So we can line that up and cut that out. I've actually cut one out ahead of time to save a little bit of time, so I won't actually have to bring the die cutting machine in for that. All right. Now so we have our sentiment label cut, ready to go. So we've got Happy Christmas. We've got our stamped layer here. So what we need to do is, once again, pop all those little pieces up. So even with your fingers, or you take your pick tool, you can pop those up. Now, I suggest popping it up before you actually adhere it to your glimmer paper, for the simple fact that the idea of popping it up allows your glimmer paper to actually shine through. So this one here, I'm going to need to take your pick tool because it's a little bit harder to get those to pop up. So we're just going to pop those up like that, so that we've got a lot of 3D dimension on this card happening. So one of the tips now with this is to make sure that you have it all popped up, but you don't pop any glue in behind where you've got these popped up layers. So making sure that you're just popping a little bit of glue around the outside of your card, because you don't want these to glue down and not sit up like we've got them here. Okay, so just in there with my take your pick tool, like so. Okay, so we've got that 3D look happening. So you can see it's absolutely gorgeous. It makes the snowflakes look like they're ready to pop off the page. All right, so with my liquid Tombow, I'm now going to take my liquid Tombow and I'm just going to pop glue just around the outside edging of this, where we've got that solid piece of cardstock, to be able to adhere it down. But I'm definitely not putting anything around in the centers where those snowflakes are. And then we're just going to pop that onto a sheet of glimmer, the beautiful red glimmer paper that we have. I'm so excited we have the glimmer paper back. Okay, so now what we're actually going to do, I've gone ahead of time and I've actually cut out some snowflakes here. Now, one of the tips that I've done, you can do this one of two ways. I've actually put our double-sided adhesive on the back. So I've used our adhesive sheets on the back so that we actually have adhesive on these gorgeous little die cuts. But you'll see here, I've got the red one and I've got the white one, and both of those are still in that glimmer paper. And the reason being is that one is actually another one of those dies that is meant to stay in your cardstock, but you can actually turn it into a cutout die. So I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to pop those little pieces up. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to go in with my scissors and just snip in between each little piece, and that's going to give me a standalone little snowflake. So just using the tips of your scissors, and it's just in between each little prong of that snowflake that we just need to cut that little tiny, just with your tips, and it turns it into a standalone snowflake. So I'll just do that off camera and I will be back. Okay, now they all have adhesive sheets on the back. So what I'm going to do is take my handy dandy take your pick tool, and I'm just going to get the pointy end of my take your pick tool in between that backing and the Glimmer paper, and you can see there it comes off. Now with those adhesive sheets, we now have a sticky snowflake. So I'm just going to do that on all of these, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've taken all the backings off those. I'm actually going to pop them onto a silicone mat. So we have these silicone mats for sale, and they are fantastic for when you're doing gluing or anything like that, because we can actually pop them on there and they can glue onto there, but we'll be able to easily lift them off. So I tend to find that that is a really, really good crafty tip to be able to craft and not have them sticking to your desk. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to take, with my handy dandy take your pick tool, I'm going to take one of those red ones, and I'm just going to adhere that into the center of that one. I've got the larger one, and I'm going to straddle that on to that snowflake right there, like that. I'm also going to take the larger white one, and we're just going to adhere that one just down there like that. Okay, so we've decorated that gorgeous layer there. So I'm just going to turn that over, and I'm going to take some dimensionals, and I'm going to pop some dimensionals on the back. And I'm going to show you another trick with our take your pick tool, because it is my most favorite tool in my craft room. So we're going to use the take your pick tool to actually get the backings off our dimensionals. So what you do is you use the take your pick tool end, you dig it in, twist it, and you can actually get your backings off all of your dimensionals. You will keep them all in one place on your handy dandy take your pick tool, and you will be able to pop them into your garbage bin all in one go. Okay, so it is a fantastic tool, I'm telling you. And there's going to be more tricks of this tool as we go along. All right, so I'm now going to adhere that onto my basic white card base, the thick card base, just like that. We're going to take this red one here, and we're going to pop in the middle there. Okay, so we've got our sentiment here. Now I've used a couple of things here to embellish. I've used these gorgeous red and blue, red and green adhesive backed pearls. So I've used some of those to decorate, and I'm also going to use this really, really cute trim that is called the iridescent trim. That's what it's called, iridescent trim. I'm going to tie a cute little tiny bow. This is quite thick and quite bulky. It reminds you a little bit of tinsel. Like, honestly, it is so much, but it's nice and thick and sturdy. So I'm just going to tie a tiny little bow. I'm trying to get it as little as I possibly can to go on the front, and I'm just going to use my scissors to trim that off. Okay, so that's ready to embellish on the front as well. Now, the only other thing that we have to do, we've got a couple of white snowflakes here. We're just going to randomly stick those around, and see, as you can see, it's stuck onto my silicone mat, but I can easily pick it up. And the other one, the other one goes for our sentiment, so I'm going to leave that there. Okay, so now we have our insert. So I thought what I would do, I always think you need to bring a little bit of the front of your card to the inside of your card. So I always find that being able to bring some of the pattern from the front to flow through to the inside of the card, it just gives that flow through design. So I'm going to use my smoky slate again. I'm going to ink up these gorgeous snowflakes. So I've got one there, this gorgeous one here in Smoky Slate. And then, of course, we have the cute little one that we'll do in Cherry Cobbler. And I'm just going to randomly stamp that one around. And then just with these gaps, I'm just going to use the Smoky Slate, and I'm just going to bring in some of the corners of that snowflake just to fill up that. There is also another little stamp in there with some dots that are in the stamp set. So this one here, I could actually, and I'll show you how I can do this. I use Smoky Slate and normally our crumb cake to actually give me the effect that it looks like it's silver or gold on cards. So when you don't want to emboss, this is a handy trick. I'll just grab my crumb cake ink. Okay, so I've got this cute little dot spot here, and I've got my crumb cake ink. So all I'm going to do with my crumb cake ink is I'm just going to stamp these little dots randomly around, and they're going to look like little gold spots. Okay, so you can see there, it now looks like we've got little gold spots. All right, so that's our insert done for our card. So now it's just a case of assembling this card and embellishing with these gorgeous pearls. All right, so I'm just going to, on the insert of my card, I'm going to glue that to the inside. So just with my liquid Tombow, put a little bit of Tombow around the edges and then glue that to the insert, like so. And then for the front, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pop that sentiment up on dimensionals. So we're just going to grab a strip of our dimensionals, and I love using the edge pieces for this, that we can just put one edge piece along there and pop that up on the front. And okay, so just like so. And then of course our cute little bow that we made, I'm actually going to use some of my Seal Plus because I want this to glue on really, really well. So I'm just using my Seal Plus, and then I'm going to press that down into my Seal Plus. And then of course we have that last little snowflake that we're going to pop on the corner of that sentiment right there. Okay, so now our embellishing, I'm just going to take these gorgeous pearls and I'm going to place some pearls around. Now I randomly place these pearls around because I've got gold, I've got silver. I wanted to change it up because we all love bling when it comes to Christmas. So I'm using a combination of gold ones and silver. So I'm just going to do silver in the white snowflakes, and I'm going to do gold in the red snowflakes, like so. And we have a silver one there. And then I'm just going to randomly pop some gold and silver around because we love bling on our Christmas cards. That one there and that one just there. And there you have a gorgeous, beautiful card using our Joyful Flurry stamp set and the matching dies. So hopefully you have enjoyed these gorgeous cards. You could change up the color, but the beauty of showing that gorgeous glimmer paper that shines through and the 3D effect of these awesome dies. So thank you everyone for joining in and watching my video today. I hope I've inspired you. Maybe this might be on your wish list, and I hope you enjoy all the other presentations. So I'm Donna Gray. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the Northern Rivers area in New South Wales, Australia. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.